welcome back to Full Recovery. It's been a little while since I did just a video by myself, but without being an interview with someone. But I want to talk to you about something today that has been on my heart for several months. And in the last, I would say maybe year and a half, it's something that I've been talking about more openly at places where I've been communicating with a lot of women about this subject, and I'm finding that there's a great need for this subject to be discussed. There's a lot of things that are misunderstood about it. I think a lot of women are like I was, trying to navigate this season of my life. But I have several goals with making this video, and one is to, first of all, be a help to women who are my age. I'm 53. I'll turn 54 this year in August. And just some real issues that rise in this time of life. But then I also have run across many women who are a little bit younger than me, who have no idea that they are embarking on this situation in life, and have a lot of issues and confusion about it. And then also, I'd like to sort of prepare younger women for what's coming, because so many of us are not aware. We're not made aware. And of course, I'm talking about navigating menopause, midlife, whatever you want to call it, womanhood in general. It's not easy. And so I would like to be helped. My husband and I have had several couples who are our peers, people who either we went to college with or came to know after college, who have been married just as long as we have, and their marriages have ended, and it's a terrible situation anytime that happens. But and I realize I don't have time. I think you all know how I feel about divorce. I just wish there were less of it. I know sometimes it's one-sided. I get all of the circumstances surrounding divorce, but I think we could all agree that it's not great when it happens. And I used to think that there was a problem with couples who sort of stayed together for the kids. That was they stayed together for the kids. And then they got divorced after, 25 or 30 years. But now I've come to understand that I think maybe there's more to it than that. I think maybe sometimes a woman has just hit a wall in her life, and maybe her husband has misunderstood or not been able to help her in any way, or in the way that she needs. And so this is actually, what we're going to talk about is actually going to be a series of videos. I'm talking with a couple of medical personnel tomorrow, and I am not a medically trained personnel. I'm not a gynecologist. I only know what has been working for me and how I found it. And so I'm trying to get more educated so that I can help other women as they're going through this. I think some of the things that are misunderstood about menopause is that it can start affecting you when you are in your 30s. It can last anywhere from 7 to 20 years, even beyond. I've heard some women say, it was much longer than that for me. I think one of the reasons we struggle to know what is happening, what's going on, and most of the time we just start feeling like we're crazy, is because it's not so defined. A woman has a baby, she knows pretty much the parameters of that situation is she's going to be 9 months growing that tiny human inside of her, And then there's going to come a day where that baby will come into this world, and there's a start and there's a finish. And yes, there are a lot of mitigating circumstances, but it's kind of black and white. There's a start, there's a finish. With something like menopause, you don't even know you've started. And that was my case. In February of 2020, I had a bad fall out of our car one day. And in fact, it was kind of comical. Well, it wasn't comical when it happened. It was comical after it was over. But my husband and I were on our way to the airport to pick up some guests that were coming to our church. And we had stopped at a little convenience store along the Hutch on our way to LaGuardia Airport. And I just wanted to run in and get some water, some bottled water. And so my husband doesn't like to drive with his prosthetic on. It's very uncomfortable. I'm sure that most of you who will see this video know our story, but in case you don't, his left leg was amputated below the knee, and so he has a prosthetic. It's uncomfortable to drive. And so he took it off. It was in the back seat. And anyway, I went to get out of the car, and my body went, but my legs did not go. And I just landed on the pavement. And he could not even reach his leg to put it on to get out of the car to help me. His crutches were in the trunk. And so people there, at the gas station were just looking at me like, did he just shove her out of that car? And so, I got up and I looked around and I'm like, I'm okay. No, we're not fighting. I just fell. And I ran, inside, got my stuff and came out. And then I was fine. Nothing really happened until about 3 weeks later. I woke up one morning and I just could not move. I mean, my back was just seized up like when gears seize up on a machine. I could not move. And I was in excruciating pain, and I didn't know what had happened. And so I was like, do I go to the ER? Do I go to, what do I do? And so I decided to go to the chiropractor. And she was very helpful. It took a few weeks of going to see her, but then I was back to normal. But she asked me, of course it was 3 weeks after my fall when this happened. And so I didn't think anything about it. And she said to me, have you had a fall today? I said, no. Did you fall yesterday? No. And she said, okay. Did you have a car accident? I said, no. And she said, well, so this just kind of happened? Maybe something happened in your sleep. I don't know. And then it hit me. Well, about 3 weeks ago I fell. And she goes, oh, that's it. And she said, you fell, and then now your back decided to get angry. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, I had no idea it could affect you that long after. But it was also at that time that I woke up in the middle of the night, and I thought I was dying. I went in and laid on our bathroom floor just because that was the only place I could get cool. I'd heard people talk about hot flashes, and I thought it sounded fun because when I was a young woman, I was cold all the time. So to me, having a hot flash sounded fun. I know that sounds crazy, right? Especially now to me. And I'm like, man, I wish I could just have a hot flash right now. It sounds so warm. And so that night in February, or actually early morning, I'm laying there on the bathroom floor, and I'm just like, well, I had a good run. Thank you, God. I had a good run. You gave me a good life. And my poor husband, this is how he's going to find me in the morning. I will have slipped off into eternity. Honestly, I felt like, I told my husband the best way that I could describe it is like a power surge, but an internal power surge where you just feel like everything's going to blow. And of course it passed, and I got up off the floor and I said, oh, was that a hot flash? That's crazy if that was a hot flash. And sure enough, that's what it was. And I did not need a hospital visit. I just needed to wait it out. But I had no idea that was coming. I had no warning. When a little girl is born, usually, and I know this is not the case for everyone, but usually her good mother will walk her through what is going to happen in her life. Growing up into the junior age as a little girl, usually your good mother or your grandmother or somebody, maybe a big sister, but usually somebody will walk you through that. Although I have had friends through the years tell me no one told them what was going to happen, and they thought they were dying, and they would wash out their underclothes, and they just thought they were dying. They didn't even know who to talk to about it. And but that's not been the norm. Usually a girl will have somebody walk her through these things. And then, of course, you get into your teen years, and usually your good mother will walk you through these things. Your mother will tell you, about dating and what's going to happen to you physically and all of those things. Usually, a good mom will walk you through, and you enter your young adult years, and again, your good mother will walk you through some of those things, and finding the guy to marry, and of course at your bridal shower, you'll hear stories, but there's no greater time of preparation than at a baby shower. I mean, everybody's mom tries to prep that girl with, and I've never understood why we do it, except it's born out of love. But every lady wants to share her horror stories about birth at that time. And especially if it's someone's first one, I'm like, why do we do this? But even that is born out of love. And then something happens, and women get older, and there's no prepping. Now, I had a great mom who walked me through the different stages of life, but my mom had 2 cerebral hemorrhages by the time she was 40, and that kind of just sent her into instant menopause. And so she told me, I really can't prepare you for what's coming. There's not anything really that I can say. So she said, really, you're just going to have to talk to some other women about that. And so I started asking, but really, I was already in my 50s by the time I knew to ask, and I was already having symptoms. And I felt very overwhelmed and undereducated and crazy. And I remember saying to my husband several times, am I crazy or is everybody else crazy? And I'll tell you the circumstance when I really knew that I had a problem. And that was one night I was in choir practice, and someone who shall remain nameless to protect the innocent said something to me. And it just set something off in me. And I remember the thought came into my mind, I am too old to take this. I don't have to sit here and take this. Do you know who I am? None of this would be here without me. And you're going to stand there and talk to me like that? No. So honestly, the thoughts would not stop. And I've had if you've heard me talk any length of time, I've tried very hard to get my thoughts under subjection in my life, because I know where bad thoughts can lead. And the Bible tells us to get every thought unto the obedience of Jesus Christ. So I've tried to work on that, but I could not get the victory on it that night. And so what did I do? I faked a cough. I got up, I walked out, and no one was the wiser. But I was fuming. I was livid. And I went downstairs, knocked on my husband's door, and I said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to say something I regret if I don't tell you what just happened. And so he did not dismiss it, and he did not say, oh, my word, Amy, just come on. He said, are you feeling okay? I said, no, I'm not. And this is not me. I don't know what's happening, but I feel like I'm going crazy. It's either I am crazy or everybody else is crazy. And that really is what began my search for what is going on with me. I want to read for you a verse in the Bible. That verse is Hebrews 4:16, and it says, "Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." In 2018, my father-in-law turned 80 years of age. And in talking with him in the months before his birthday, I don't know why it never hit me, but I realized in talking to him, he had never been west of the Mississippi. And I said to him, we're going to make this happen before or for your birthday. We're going to make it happen. We're going to get you wherever you want to go. We're going to get you there. And he chose to go to the Grand Canyon. So we decided that we were going to meet there, and his birthday was in October, but we actually took the trip in May. It just when it worked for everybody to go. And so my in-laws went, and my husband, obviously our family, all of our kids, and then my sister-in-law and her family, we met there at the Grand Canyon. Well, we had decided to drive because we were picking up our kids in college in Indiana, and then we just decided to drive the rest of the way. We also wanted to go to Magnolia in Waco, Texas, and so we just thought if we're going to do all the things we want to do on the way there, we got to drive. So we were driving through Texas, and one of our kids, and I can't remember who at this point, but got a notification on their phone that there was bad weather back home. And then my phone rang, and it was one of our neighbors, and she said, "Amy, are you at home?" And I said, "No, we're in Texas right now on our way to Arizona, to the Grand Canyon." And she said, "Oh, we thought you were dead." And I said, "What's going on?" And what had happened was a macro burst of tornadoes had come into our area and just destroyed our home. It took out both of our cars in the driveway. We've actually had 4 cars be totaled in our marriage, and we haven't been driving any of them. So, just when I get attached to a car, it's gone, destroyed actually by some means. But anyway, so I said, "No, we're not home." And other neighbors had tried to get in through our front door, couldn't get in. And then they thought that our cars, that we might have been in our vehicles and waiting out the storm. And then they thought we were dead in our cars. They were very relieved to learn we were not dead. And our home was the only one damaged in on our street, in our little neighborhood. But it was pretty bad. We were without power for 9 days after we got back home. And it was a rough time. But the reason I'm telling you that story, I'm going to show you some pictures here while I'm talking of that story, of that circumstance. But why I'm telling you that is because there's one picture that you're going to see where there's a huge tree trunk, like the bottom of the trunk. And it's taller, a little bit, actually much taller than our daughter that is standing next to it. And just earlier that spring, we had 4 different tree companies come and look at the trees in our yard because we felt like we had some branches fall, and we felt like maybe there were some that were going to be a problem. So they came to look at the trees, and every single company said to us, "Yeah, you have some that are, at some point going to be a concern. But that tree, the one that's kind of like right by your house, that thing's never coming down. You don't have to worry about that." All of them said that. And that was the tree that came down, took out the corner of our house, took out both sides of our house, and then took out both of our cars. And they all said, the experts said, that tree will never come down. Well, what they didn't know was that tree had started to grow on a super rocky ledge. It's something that you couldn't see it looked like it was just coming out of the ground like normal. But it was, the roots were, you can see by the picture, the roots were very short for a tree, as it was a huge tree, but I don't even know how many feet tall. Huge tree, but the roots were not in the ground enough to sustain the winds that came. And they knocked it down pretty easily. And I've seen that happen in life. Women who I thought had roots so deep that nothing could blow them over. And yet the storm of midlife has come and they have let go of their faith, their marriages, their relationships. It's not just young people deconstructing their faith. It's middle-aged women changing the way they live, stopping communication with people. And I hate that. None of us have ever seen, or at least I have never seen, I think it's pretty rare, a woman in her 80s say, you know what, I've lived 8 decades of life and I really maybe thought God was seeing me through, but now that I look back on it, he really wasn't, and I don't think he's all cracked up to be. I don't think he's what he's cracked up to be. We've never really seen somebody in their 80s make that kind of falling away or leaving the Lord, or at least I have not. But I really believe that menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, midlife in general, I think it's Satan's last-ditch effort to get a woman off track. And if he can get her off track with hurt and anger and disillusionment and feeling invisible, I cannot tell you how many women that I've spoken to in the last several years who have told me, I'm tired of feeling invisible. I'm tired of it. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. And it is a time in your life when you feel invisible. Another thing I've never seen like it is now is older grown children just turning their backs on their parents. And I'm not talking about abusive situations. I totally understand someone putting up boundaries where in that kind of situation. What I don't understand is young people saying, I'm going to put up these boundaries when there could have been easily boundaries put up with you with them when they were young. And yet parents stayed in there, hung in there, and saw it through. And now some of those same parents, not perfect people, but people who tried to do the right thing by their children, have now had boundaries put up. And what this generation doesn't understand is that you haven't seen yet the fruit that comes, the reaping that comes from sowing, not working on relationships and not having compassion and not communicating. Because if this is your way, if you're going to set up boundaries, this is your way, then those little ones coming behind you are learning your way. And what will they do to you? You don't know that yet. You don't know where this is going to take you. So I've had a lot of women tell me, I just feel invisible. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. And that has led a lot of women to make some choices that probably otherwise they would not have made. Now look, this is a natural course of life. I mean, honestly, we can all thank Eve for this, okay? If there had never been a partaking of that fruit, we would never suffer these consequences. So when we get to heaven, we can have a big, long discussion with her and say, thanks a lot. And now we're going to let you have it. She certainly didn't see this coming. But I think about women in the Bible who have had issues like this. I have a lot of compassion, especially now in my life. I have a lot of compassion for Job's wife because she went through losing her children, and then her husband, who is supposed to be her rock, her stability, he could not care for her. And she was in midlife when these things were going on. Can you imagine trying to handle that while going through midlife yourself? Lot's wife. I mean, can you imagine? You know, she had children back in Sodom, grandchildren. And we, you know, are so quick to criticize her because she directly disobeyed what God had said. And of course, there was a reason why God had told her, don't look back. But she did. That heart of that middle-aged woman going, I have grandchildren in there. I can't condemn her too much for that. I would hope I would have obeyed the Lord, but you don't know till you're in that position. I think about Noah's wife. We don't know her name either, but Noah's wife, can you imagine? Your sons are grown, they have wives, and you got to get on a boat with all those animals. And the Bible doesn't give any sort of hint that she wasn't glad about it, but still, can you imagine going through that? Of course, Mary, you know, by the time Jesus was facing crucifixion, she was in middle age, and everything that came with it health-wise, and then having to deal with all of that. But somehow, you know, we don't think about those women because we don't know a lot about what they felt during this time. But believe me, they experienced it. And they made it, many of them. Some of them did not. Some of them chose to not stay true and not stay right. And we're told what happened. But most of the women in the Bible that held on through middle age, they saw it through and they were okay. That's how I want to be. I want to be one of those women who are old and wrinkled if Jesus doesn't come back. I want to be old and, you know, my eyes all squinched up, and I'm not sure if squinched is a word, but all wrinkled up and sparkly. And I just want to testify, God has been so good to me for 8 decades. I've lived for him. And if that's going to happen, then I can't let this time in my life sideline me. I have to be closer to the Lord now than ever. I have to beg him for mercy. You will not have a time in your life where you need the mercy of God to rain down on you like you need it in middle age. I'm going to read you a list of symptoms now of menopause that it's certainly not exhaustive, but these symptoms, I was completely unaware that these are indicators of menopause. I put a post on Facebook last week about this, and I have received so many responses, many messages, many texts, many voicemails. I have not even been able to respond to all of them. I'm working on it. And again, I am not a medically trained person. I'm just someone who got a little desperate to understand what was happening to me. And I've had many women say the same thing that I've experienced. Medical professionals sometimes will treat every single symptom separately and don't even realize, oh, you're in menopause. This is hormonal. And so sometimes you may go to the doctor because you have, I have terrible foot pain. And they may start treating you for, like I thought I had, they may start treating you for plantar fasciitis, when really it's your hormones, that your estrogen is leaving your body. And so in fact, I had a woman message me, and this just broke my heart. This is craziness. But a woman messaged me to say that she had a doctor tell her, you are just one of those. She's in her early 40s, I believe. I think she said 42. But her doctor said to her, you're one of those women that had ADHD when you were 7 to 12 years of age, but you were never diagnosed. So now it's just rearing its ugly head now that you're middle-aged. And I wonder how many other women have been told this stuff. This is insanity. And so Anyway, I want to read you a list of symptoms. And again, I've done this several times with several groups in the last few years, and the response has always been the same. Thank you. I had no idea what I was feeling is a symptom of menopause. I thought I was dying. I thought I had cancer. I thought all kinds of things, and I never got any help. I've never had any medical person tell me, oh, you're in menopause. I had a woman just a few days ago say, I traveled at a great distance and great cost to go see a doctor because I was desperate for help. Nobody in my area seemed to know what was wrong with me. Maybe this will be a help to you. Headaches or migraines, extreme or unexplained fatigue, heart palpitations. These may feel like a heart attack. Let me also say about unexplained fatigue. You may tell yourself, as I did, well, I've been going, and I haven't had a break. And that's why I'm tired. And that may be true. Maybe you have had a busy season. But if you maybe look at the other symptoms that you have and combine that with it, you will see, oh, no, I'm extra fatigued. Of course, hot flashes. And that's not just a fun thing where you go, whoo, no, give me a fan. It feels like you're blowing up. And it's an awful, awful feeling. Night sweats. And this is not a little dampness on your brow because the temperature is too hot in your room. This is where you have to change your pajamas or you have to change your sheets. It's not fun. Anger. And you may not even know what is setting you off, but you are very angry. Depression or general feeling of discouragement. Now let me stop at this one for a minute. Depression, and I'll be sensitive about this, but if you are a woman and you're watching this video and either you have never married or you've never had children, this may take on a terrible form for you. When it hits you, I am never going to have a child. I've had many women reach out to me about this, and I've tried, in certain circumstances, I've directed them to someone else who might better be able to empathize. But this is a very real thing. I've even had women who've had several children, but wanted more. And they experience a form of depression because that's it, no more now. I've had women reach out who have had multiple children, but had miscarriages, a miscarriage before their children were born or sometime during when their other children were born. And it's almost like they mourn the loss of that child in a greater way or in a new way than they did before when the miscarriage happened. Just depression. I did not face I guess I should say I haven't yet faced a depression over those circumstances. I think the bouts of depression or discouragement, maybe is a better word, that I've had because of this is feeling like I was losing my purpose. You know, when you become empty nesters and your children are grown and gone and starting lives of their own, it is very easy to feel that you don't matter anymore, that you know, it's almost like, all right, we're done with that, and you know, but God has a wonderful way of giving you a new purpose. My purpose now, I have many now in life. I have more time to do more things, and I've asked God to give me new purposes, and He certainly has answered. But one of the great purposes of my life is enjoying being a grandmother. My grandchildren call me Gigi. Well, only one so far, but we have 5 grandchildren, and they are all under the age of 3. So one of them calls me Gigi, but the rest will. And we have 4 little grandsons and 1 granddaughter. And that is a great purpose of my life, is just to make sure that they know how much I love them. But depression or discouragement can be overwhelming during this time. Joint pain, primarily shoulder and hip pain, but other joints as well. I can't tell you how many times I'm a pretty active person. I play tennis, I play volleyball, I do a lot of walking. I'm active, and I cannot tell you how many times in recent years I've just had to, like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta work this out, whether it's my hip or for some reason it's only my left hip, not my right. Don't know what that's about, just part of it. Foot pain. This is huge. And I remember one morning I went to get out of bed and I could not put weight on my feet, and instantly my eyes filled with tears. And I hopped back in bed and I said to my husband, I don't know what this is. I can't stand. And I just started he actually massaged the bottoms of my feet. And after a little while, I thought, okay, I think I can get up. And as the morning went on, the pain wore off. But I mean, my feet, it felt like they were splitting in two. And I know some women experience more of a tingling on the top of their feet or a numbness. That's definitely a nerve connection related to menopause. There's actually, it starts with a P, and now the name escapes me, something like paramenia, something like that. But foot pain is huge during menopause. Tooth pain or dental issues will become more prominent. I can't tell you the number of women that, my teeth are loose. My good teeth are loose. What am I going to do? There's a couple of, I ordered something I think it's called periodontal. And it's just something you rub on your gums to help with teeth stability. Cycle changes, of course, or missed cycles. Sleep issues, but you can be in perimenopause and you are still fairly regular. So, you don't wait. I mean, I think I knew I was in perimenopause when I was already almost a year with no cycle. Sleep issues or insomnia. I mean, you just feel like you don't sleep anymore. And I love sleep, but you feel like you don't get any more weight gain, or as I like to call it, redistribution of pounds. Man, that is one of the roughest parts, where I've never been a scale person. I don't weigh myself. At this time right now, even I don't own a scale. I've just kind of been the kind of person that I want my clothes to hang nicely. The size doesn't bother me. My weight, I don't care about a number. I want my clothes to hang nicely. And, that's not happening right now. That is not happening. Brain fog. Oh my goodness. Just this morning, I had the roughest morning. My brain fog was so bad this morning that a friend, a lady, was trying to speak to me, and she must have spoken to me 5 or 6 times before it finally hit me. She's talking to me. And I said, I am so sorry. I'm just out of it this morning. Forgetfulness, impaired short-term memory, inability to focus. That's me, all of the above. Lack of concentration, inability to remember names. I don't forget faces, even with menopause. I don't forget faces, but I will forget your name pretty quickly. Anxiety. This is huge, huge. The number of women that can't leave their homes for just out of crippling fear and anxiety. This is not easy during this time. Just a general feeling of I'm not myself, or am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I the crazy one, or is everybody else out there crazy? Impatience. Whereas something before would not have bothered you, now it just, that irritability. Low energy or no energy. No motivation. You can't even see the why for why you should do something that you've always done. Just no motivation. That's a big one for me. I've always been a night owl. And for some reason now, if I sit down and it's about 8 o'clock at night, I don't get back up. So I try to tell I get up to go to bed, but if I sit in a chair, it's like I can't motivate myself so whatever's not done, it's going to be not done tomorrow too. And that's awful. I have never lived like this. I have never lived where I went to bed with clothes in like the washer and not put in the dryer, or clothes in the dryer, not folded. I love laundry, but I just can't do it. If I sit down, it will stay there till the next day. And I don't even care, which is horrible. I used to never leave dishes in the sink. I will leave them because I sat down and it's not getting done. And this is not me. It's not who I am, but I am struggling with that area. So no motivation, mood swings. I don't know why I'm crying. I've had several women, I can't even tell you how many, probably a dozen, through the last couple of years, tell me the whole year of my 40th birthday or my 45th birthday, whatever, the whole year, I cried every day. Am I in menopause? Yep, you are. Tearfulness, not wanting to be touched in any way, like at all. And I'm not going to get real graphic there, but I think you know what I mean. Just don't touch me. That is a very crippling part of a marriage relationship going through menopause, but it's very real. Sometimes it just flat out hurts it hurts for someone to touch you. Other times it's just, I'm trying to hold it together. I'm trying to be within myself. Just, let me be. And then other times, hug me all day long, every day. It just depends, but that's definitely a symptom. And then UTIs, chronic UTIs, which can be awful and painful. Incontinence, horrible symptom of menopause. And then dry or brittle hair, skin, or nails. Just a horrible situation. You just don't feel, can I be superficial enough to say you just don't feel pretty? Just nothing about you feels pretty to you. And other people may say, oh my goodness, you look the same as you always did. And you know in your heart, no, I don't. And I don't feel it. And I'm struggling. And it can be a very crippling circumstance. I'm looking at the time for how long I've been going with this. So this is going to be, this particular part of the video where I'm just talking to you, this is definitely going to be in 2 parts. And then I am going to talk about some remedies. Now, I will go ahead and tell you, the best remedies that I have found through blogs. Reading a blog that I will Google my symptoms and find blogs related to those symptoms, because I have found that women will talk openly about it in their blogs. If they will write about it, they will talk openly about it. And many times they will put solutions that they've tried and things that have worked for them. And so that's where I have found now already I've been in menopause now full blown for, going on 4 years now. And not one thing has helped me through this whole time. I've had to switch it up. I've been on something for 3 or 4 months, and then it loses its effectiveness and I have to go to something else. And then for the different symptoms there. And so I think that's why women struggle. My husband said, and I may have said it already, but my husband said, how are the men supposed to help if the women don't even know how to help themselves or equip themselves? And it's a valid point. I don't know, but that's one thing that helped me. Now, I will be, as I said earlier, tomorrow, I'm speaking with a couple of medical professionals who are going to really give me more weaponry to talk about this subject. And I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. I'm excited about that. I'm also looking forward to maybe getting some more remedies for myself. Now, I will tell you that at my mom's advice, when I started talking to older women, I was astounded at the number of women who were willing to admit to me, I take narcotics, I take antidepressants, I take, whatever. And that's what I've had to do to get through it. Now, for me, I don't sit in judgment of anybody that's had to do that or felt that was the best thing for them to do. But I've had a couple of women in their 80s tell me I am still taking half a pill because I've tried to wean myself off of it and been unsuccessful. I did not want that to be me. So I said, hey, you know, there's got to be other things, natural things that you can do. And there certainly are. I am not here to tell you what's right for you. I'm here to tell you there is hope, there is help. You're not alone. You're not crazy. And for you younger women, if any younger women are watching this or happen to watch it, I hope you understand this is coming for you. It is coming for you. And I'm trying the best way that I can to extend that conversation to prepare you. Now, my husband and I are also going to make a video to help the men. And I'm thankful for the husband that I have because he has willingly, very graciously agreed to do this. And I said, hun, nobody's talking about this. If we don't talk about it, how are we going to be a help? How is anybody going to get help? And men need help to help their wives through this. And maybe some marriages will be saved because couples will realize there is hope out there for getting through this. I don't know, maybe, you know, I'm just praying. I pray over every one of these videos. God, use this to strengthen women. Use this video. And this one especially, I've prayed so much before recording this, prayed while doing that. I am not the most qualified person to do this and talk about this. I readily admit that. I'm just willing to talk about hard things. And so I hope that you will be encouraged by the time we get through the series of videos. I hope that this will be a help and encouragement to you. That's all we're going to have for this one. It's gone on long enough, but the next one will be up soon. And I want to thank you so much for hanging in there with this one. I hope that you will get the help and strength and encouragement that you need. And just once again, I want to remind you, you're not alone. You're not crazy. And you are loved, and we're in this together. I'm in it with you, sister. We're going to get through this. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.